A ghost town of zombie businesses. Lockdown is over, but footfall here in the City of London is still down a staggering 90% on pre-COVID levels. Up until last week, this chain of sushi stores had hoped to reopen. But in the last few days, K10 has appointed liquidators. It's over.
It hasn't really hit me yet, but the tragedy is for our staff and for our suppliers and our creditors. It's like an earthquake or a tsunami happening. It just overnight, like someone flicking off a switch. We've had 122 staff that are now redundant.
Economists have euphemisms for this process. Structural change, they call it. And the Bank of England governor says there's more of it to come.
I think it's reasonable to think there will be what I might call sort of structural change in the economy coming out of the COVID experience. And there will be some parts of the economy which will just, I'm afraid, not be viable going forwards. There are often sectors that have a very high, what I might call sort of social consumption element to them, which involves people working or indeed consuming them at very close quarters.
Now you have the possibility of a no-deal Brexit within your forecast.
Both COVID and Brexit could potentially negatively affect trade, if you're thinking about this world. COVID is the biggest shock in our...
So COVID somewhat dwarfs...
I think it does. I think at the moment it does dwarf it, yes.
Across the river in London's Borough Market, more customers, slightly more.
I think we're mostly all around about 80% down on last year, what we'd expect around this time.
There's no office trade, there's no tourists, it's pretty severe, and but there's also on the other side that I'm just grateful that we're open, and there's a lot of my peers and friends who have restaurants and they're closing, and it's so sad. Like it's a really tough time for us all.
I have two staff that are furloughed. I can't see a window coming back, really, because there's just not the income to sustain it.
It is extraordinary, isn't it, to think of just how much things have changed since the start of the year, when Brexit was indeed the big economic talking point. Now is something more fundamental, that question about whether consumption, the engine of the UK economy, may never fully recover from this. If the economy continues to deteriorate, the bank has a new, not-so-secret weapon at its disposal: negative interest rates. If you thought printing money, quantitative easing, was weird, well, the next thing to come out of this ghost town could be even weirder. Ed Conway, Sky News.